The topic we are going to discuss now is types of tariffs and import quotas. First, let us see the meaning of tariff. A tariff is a tax or duty which is levied on commodities when they enter or leave the national boundary or frontier. When the commodities are entering or leaving the country, these tariffs are charged, which is a tax or duty. Usually, it refers to both import duties and export duties, but for practical purposes, tariff is synonymous only with import duties or customs duties. Therefore, tariff is import duty or custom duty that is levied on the commodities when they are entering or leaving the country. That is called tariff. Now, let us see the types of tariffs. Tariffs are classified into a number of ways on the basis of many factors. First, let us see its classification on the basis of purpose. Purpose means for what purpose the tariff is imposed. On the basis of purpose, tariffs have been classified into two types. One is the revenue tariff and the next one is protective tariff. The purpose of the revenue tariff is to provide the governments with revenue. It aims to provide revenue to the government. Since its purpose or its aim is only to provide revenue to the government, it is usually levied on luxurious consumer goods. It is not levied on essential commodities. It is levied only on luxurious consumer goods. And in this case, lower the import duties, larger will be the revenue to the government. This is because if the lower import duties are imposed, the rise in the price of the imported commodities will not be that much. In that case, the consumers will not shift their demand due to the rise in the price of the commodity to other domestically produced goods. In such a case, lower the tariff, larger will be the revenue to the government. Then the next type is protective tariff. The name itself suggests that its prime purpose is to protect the home industry. To maintain or encourage the branches of the home industry is the purpose of the duty. Nowadays, the government are levying imported duties with the principal objective of providing protection to the domestic production or protection to the home industry rather than generating revenue to the government. So the revenue function of this type of tariff is only secondary. Then the next category of the tariffs are ad valorem, specific, compound, or sliding scale duties. First, let us see what is ad valorem duty. This is the most common type of duty that is imposed. It is levied as a percentage of the total value of the imported commodity. It is levied in a fixed percentage of the value of the commodity. Value means CIF, cost plus insurance plus right value of the commodity. Usually it is levied in percentage only, that is, for example, 25%, 50%, and so on the total value of the commodity. Then the next one is specific duty. The specific duty, these duties are levied on physical per unit of the imported commodities. For example, in case of commodities like refrigerators, TVs, it is charged per TV, per refrigerator, like that. And if the commodity that is imported is cloth, per meter. If it is fertilizer, per ton. If it is oil, per liter. Then the next one is compound duty. It is nothing but a combination of ad valorem plus specific duty. In this case, the units of an imported commodity are levied a percentage ad valorem duty plus specific duty on each unit of the commodity. For example, if a country is importing a car, the import duty is levied on a car at a fixed rate of rupees Example, 10 lakhs plus 10% of the price of the car. Also, a combination of both ad valorem and specific duty is called compound duty. The next one is sliding scale duty. Sliding scale duty, it is varying with the variation in the price of the commodities that have been imported. So this is called sliding scale duty. It may be either ad valorem or specific. Usually it is specific. Next, on the basis of country-based discrimination, tariffs have been classified into 3 types: single column, double column, and multiple column tariff. First, let us see what is single column tariff. In the single column tariff, uniform rate of duty is collected or it is imposed on similar commodities wherever it may be imported. Whatever is the country the commodity is going to be imported, the rate will be the same if the commodities are similar. So this is called a single column tariff. So it is non-discriminatory in its nature. It is very simple and easy to administer, but its demerit is, since uniform rate has to be collected from all the countries, it is not adequate and elastic for the purpose of generating revenue to the government. The next one is double column tariff. The name itself suggests that 2 different rates of tariff exist for all or some of the commodities. Both the rates will be declared by the government at the beginning itself, or in some cases, one at the beginning and another after settling the rates under trade agreements. This double column tariff is again classified into 2 types. One is general and conventional tariff. Next one is maximum and minimum tariff. General tariff is nothing but the list of the tariff. This has been announced by the government in the beginning of the year in its annual tariff policy. So that is called a general tariff. So in this particular tariff rate, which is to be charged from all the countries, and conventional tariff is based on trade agreements or treaties with other countries. So it is different for different countries and it will be varying from commodity to commodity also. Then again, it is not flexible, as mutual consent is essential for making any changes. Since it is inflexible, it will hamper the expansion of international trade among the countries. Then the next one is maximum and minimum tariff. Under this, the government is usually fixing 2 tax rates for importing a commodity, same commodity from different countries. Maximum tariff is imposed on imports from the commodities from which the tariff or a treaty is not signed. And the minimum tariff is collected from the most favored nations. Among those countries, a treaty or agreement is signed. So the minimum is collected from the most favored nation with which the treaty is signed, and the maximum rate is collected from the rest of the world or rest of the countries. Next one is multiple or triple column tariff. Under the multiple column or triple column tariff, for each category of commodities, 2 or more tariff rates are levied. So usual practice, 3 different lists of tariffs are collected. One is general, intermediate, and preferential. General is nothing but the maximum rate that has to be collected from the rest of the world with whom the treaty or agreement is not signed. Intermediate is nothing but a minimum rate of tariff that has to be collected from the nation from which we have signed agreements. Those countries have been treated as the most favored nations. And the next category is preferential tariff. For example, if some treaty or some agreement is signed among the nations, for example, among the SAARC nations, the imports between them are carried on the preferential rates between them, between the SAARC countries. Preferential rates have been followed in importing commodities among each other. That is called preferential tariff. Next one, on the basis of retaliation, there are two types of tariffs. One is retaliatory tariff. Next one is countervailing duty. Retaliatory tariff is imposed by one country on another country simply on the matter of punishing them for their trade policy, which hamper its exports or balance of payments position. The next one is countervailing duty. This is additional duty. This is imposed on a commodity whose export price is reduced by the other country by giving an export subsidy. So this duty is raising its price in order to protect the producers of the same commodity in the importing country from the cheap foreign commodity. So that is the purpose of countervailing duty. Now let us see the meaning of import quotas and its objectives. Import quota, again, is a protectionist device like tariff. Its aim is to restrict the import. Its aim is to restrict the supply of goods or services from other countries, from abroad. Under the import quota, a fixed amount of commodity, either in terms of volume or value, is allowed to be imported into the particular country during a specific period of time, usually 1 year, usually a year. So for this purpose, the government is issuing import licenses. So it may be sold either to importers at a competitive price or on the basis of first come, first served basis. Alternatively, an alternative to this import licensing, the government may also limit the value of imports by providing the importers with a limited amount of foreign exchange that may be used for the purchase of particular commodity to be imported by them. So the aim of the import quota is restricting and regulating imports. This is mainly to protect the home industries. The home industry should be protected from the foreign competition. The prime purpose is to correct the disequilibrium in the balance of payment by reducing its imports. Again, the import quota may also be used as a retaliatory device. Since its prime purpose is to serve as a protectionist device, it can also be used as a retaliatory device. Now let us see the objectives of the import quotas. The reasons for which import quotas have been imposed are: the first one is to give protection to our domestic industries from foreign competition by cutting imports. The second one is to correct the disequilibrium in the balance of payments by reducing imports or by restricting imports. Then the next one is to control the speculation in imports. Then the fourth objective is to maintain or stabilize our internal price level in our home country by regulating our imports. The next one is to save our country's foreign exchange resources to stabilize or maintain our internal price level by regulating imports, to save our country's foreign exchange resources by importing only essential raw materials, capital goods, and other important items, and to discourage the import of unnecessary luxurious imported goods. Then, to strengthen our country's bargaining on the basis of reciprocal trade agreements. Then the last objective is to adopt a retaliatory measure. This import quota can be used as a retaliatory measure against other countries resorting to restrictive trade practices such as tariffs and quotas. Now let us see the types of import quotas. There are 5 types of import quotas. The first one is tariff quota. Under this quota system, a given quantity of a commodity is permitted to enter duty-free or a relatively lower duty. A commodity is allowed to be imported a given quantity. In excess of that quantity, they are charged with a relatively high rate of duty. So it may be autonomous or agreed. If it is autonomous, it's fixed by the law. If it is agreed, means it is fixed by the agreement between the 2 trading countries. There are some merits and demerits of the system. First, let us see it has some merits and demerits. First, let us see the merits of tariff quota. It has features of both tariff and quota. It is a combination of tariff as well as quota. So it has the features of both tariff as well as quota. Then it restricts the tariff and it saves our scarce foreign exchange resources. This type of tariff is generating more revenue to the government, and it is flexible in its nature. So whenever the government needs, it may raise or it may reduce the tariff. It may reduce this quota. Then, depending upon the nature and need of the product in the home country, it may be allowed to be imported duty-free or low rate. So these are all the merits. Let us see the demerits. It increases, this tariff quota increases the inflow of import commodities when they are allowed duty-free or at a low rate in the beginning. As a result, in the beginning, the domestic price level in the home country is disturbed. When the specific limit is reached, when the imports exceed that limit that is set by the quota, the entire gain from the low tariff rate go to the exporting country. So this system seems to be discriminatory since it increases the prices of the imported commodities for the poor, while the rich will enjoy their consumption. So these are all the demerits. Now let us see the second type, that is unilateral quota. Under the system of quota, the total volume or value of the commodity to be imported is fixed by the law of the government. Here, there is no scope for any agreement with other countries. This autonomously fixed quota, it may be either global or allocated. Global means the full amount of quota should be imported from is allowed to be imported from only one country. Under the allocated system, the total quantity of the quota which is to be imported is distributed among the countries. Next, bilateral quota. Bilateral quota is also fixed by some agreement with 2 or more other countries. This is called agreed quotas by Haberler. Haberler called this type of quota as agreed quota. These are fixed by bilateral negotiation. Since it's fixed by negotiation, there is no scope for discrimination. Under the system, the fluctuation in imports is reduced and the prices of imports will also be reduced. Then it has a scope of avoiding monopolies, and this system is non-retaliatory. Since there is a mutual concern or the quotas are mutually agreed between the countries, there is no scope for this retaliation. So this system is non-retaliatory. But this system is supposed to promote corruption. Whenever there is a scope for agreement between the 2 countries, it promotes corruption among them. Then it encourages monopoly firms in the exporting country when they are required to supply products. The exporting country may raise the price of the product once the agreement is signed. There may be a chance for that. Then this system encourages cutthroat competition among the nations for entering into agreements. The next one is mixing quota. Under this system, the domestic producers in a country which is fixing quota. That is, the domestic producer in the quota fixing country are required to use imported raw material in certain proportion along with the domestic raw material in order to produce their finished product in their home country. How much amount of raw material to be imported are fixed in the quantity by the government. The government will fix the quota of raw material to be imported. Under this system, the domestic producers are encouraged to use domestic raw materials. So it protects the producers of domestic raw materials from foreign competition. Foreign exchange of our country is saved and reserved. Then it encourages the production of domestic raw materials, semi-finished and manufactured goods. This system has some disadvantages. For example, this system may lead to the lower utilization of world resources and causes high domestic prices. If the imported raw materials are of poor quality, the finished products of a particular country may also be low. If it leads to the high cost of production and poor quality products, this system goes against the principle of comparative advantage. These are all the demerits of this mixing quota. Then the last one is import licensing. It is nothing but a system that is devised to administer the various types of quotas. Under this system, the amount of commodity to be imported is first determined. On the basis of any one of the above mentioned system, how much to be imported is fixed first, either in its volume or value. Then import licenses are issued. This is issued by an approved authority or government to the importers for specified quantities of commodities to be imported. Then merits. This system has some merits. It reduces domestic shortage for the commodity. It is fixed by the government itself. How much to be imported is fixed by the government. So price fluctuation is very less. Speculation in foreign exchange is avoided. It's a flexible system. So it may be changed whenever the need arises. It may be increased. Then this system has some demerits. First one is rigid. Rigid means those who are having the licenses are supposed to import those commodities for which they are having licenses. In such a way, the system is rigid. Then some governments auction import licenses. In some governments, it can be transferred. There is a provision. All these practices tend to increase the price of the commodity. Then it may lead to the creation of monopoly in imports because only established firms are issued licenses. Then whenever there is a practice of issuing licenses, that will encourage political favoritism and bureaucratic corruptions. To conclude, both the systems, import quota or tariff, both are capable of reducing imports. This may tend to increase the price of the imports, and that will increase the domestic production of a commodity once if it is imposed. Both have a common effects: price effect, consumption effect, redistribution effect, balance of payment, terms of trade effects. Both the system have a common effects. So both import quotas and tariff are supposed to reduce the imports. Thank you.